Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my December mid-month wrap-up. You guys, December has been a tough reading month. I have read a total of 4 books from the 1st through the 15th of December. I've managed to complete another 1 since then, and it's already the 20th of December today. I think I've been in a bit of a reading slump, which I've never had a reading slump before, and even the reading slump that I've been in, I don't think is like the same as what most people's reading slumps is like. I have just been so busy and had so little time for reading that when I do have time for reading, I'm so tired that I just have ended up going to bed like without reading before bed so many nights, and I just haven't been taking the opportunity to read when I can because I just have been so exhausted from being so busy. I also haven't been feeling well the past couple of weeks, and then the book that I was reading that took me so long to finish was also, which I'll be talking about in my December wrap up because I didn't finish it until past the middle of the month, but it was also quite a hard-hitting novel, and I think that didn't help because when I did have time to read, I didn't really want to pick it up because I knew it was going to be quite emotionally draining, and that's just not, I'm not a mood reader, but I knew it was going to take a lot out of me and I just didn't have the energy for it. So needless to say, I only finished 4 books this month so far, well, up till the 15th, so I will be talking about those 4 books, so this should be a hopefully fairly quick video, but let's jump in and talk about the books that I did manage to complete in the first half of the month. The first book that I managed to complete was a book that I actually listened to on audio, and that was We Could Be Beautiful by Swan Huntley. This is a book that I actually marked as to read not too long ago, and I talked about it in a marked as to read video. And it became, I noticed it on my Overdrive app that it was available on audio, so I decided to check it out. And this is a book that follows a woman who is in her early 40s. I believe she's about 42, and she is very well-to-do and has lived a very privileged life. However, she's never managed to kind of find the one. She's been engaged a couple of times, but things have just never worked out, and she's always wanted to kind of get married and have a baby, and then she meets a man and they begin a relationship. However, things are maybe not all as they seem with this guy. It basically says that in the synopsis, and you know, her mother, for example, has Alzheimer's, and this man who she meets knows her family from when he was very young. His parents were friends with her parents, and when she mentions this guy to her mother who has Alzheimer's, her mother has a very severe reaction. Just things like that, you know, things are not necessarily all as they seem. I thought I was gonna like this book a lot more than I did. The main character is extremely unlikable. Extremely unlikable. She is not relatable at all, or at least not to me, because she is living a very, very, very privileged existence. Let's put it that way. And her opinions and the way that she views the world because of her privilege is just, she was hard to get along with. And we knew that something was off with the relationship, and I just kept waiting for the book to kind of get more intense, and it just never got there. We also got basically no character growth from the main character. I wouldn't have minded if she'd been so unlikable if she kind of grew through the experience and learnt something about herself, but she really didn't. There was also some really sketchy things going on in this book that I was just like, I just, no, and I just really didn't like it. In the end, I gave it 2 stars. The next book I completed was Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. This is the second full-length novel by Daphne du Maurier that I've picked up, but I have also, first off, by Daphne du Maurier, I read Rebecca, which I totally loved and adored. I then tried a short story collection by Daphne du Maurier and I didn't super love it. So I was a bit worried going into Jamaica Inn that maybe Rebecca was kind of a one-off and I wouldn't enjoy anything else by Daphne du Maurier, but I was wrong. I do enjoy her full-length novels at least. I actually buddy read this book with Aoife over at Fred Weasley Died Laughing. This was my first ever buddy read, so it was a really fun experience to read it alongside Aoife. Unfortunately, we really had to push through it very quickly because of course, it was overdue to the library and I had to return it, otherwise I was going to get a fine. But we did read it together and that was a really enjoyable experience. I think we both enjoyed it and we had very similar opinions on the book throughout, so it was a great time reading it with Aoife. So this book follows a girl named Mary, I believe, whose mother dies. She grew up with her mother like kind of on a farm and then her mother dies and she goes to live with her mother's sister and her mother's sister's husband at Jamaica Inn, which is it's a pub basically, and the pub, it's a little bit sketchy basically, and there's some weird shit going on and she doesn't know exactly what's happening and she's trying to figure it out. Daphne du Maurier just writes really well. Her writing is beautiful. She writes a really atmospheric story. She really draws you into the story and really makes you feel like you're there. Her description of the moors and things like that were just really great. Like I felt like I was there, even though I personally have never seen anything that even slightly resembles moors. But yeah, it was really great. I really enjoyed it. I did have a couple of problems in the story, mainly surrounding the ending and some of the like character motivations at the end, but I did really enjoy it overall and I gave it a solid 4 stars. And the next book I managed to complete was Saint Anything by Sarah Dessen. This is Sarah Dessen's most recently published novel and I was really excited to finally get around to checking it out. This follows a girl by the name of Sydney. Sydney has an older brother named Peyton. Peyton was kind of the golden child of her family, and Sydney has always felt like she kind of lived in his shadow, especially once Peyton kind of starts to go through some behavioral problems in his teenage years, in his like late teen years. He gets involved in like drugs and things like that and some petty crime, and one day he is drunk and he gets in his car and he hits a boy riding home on his bicycle. That boy is paralyzed and Peyton goes to jail. And this is about Sydney kind of dealing with life following Peyton going to jail and how she's dealing with it. She's very angry at Peyton and she's also like struggling with her relationships with her parents, with the way that they're dealing with Peyton having gone to jail. Sydney changes schools and goes to a new high school, and it's just about her life and her dealing with her issues basically. I really enjoyed this. I enjoy all of Sarah Dessen's works basically, some more than others, but I did really enjoy this. Sarah Dessen writes dialogue and has really great flow. Like she writes dialogue really well and her stories just flow really well. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed the romance that goes on in here. It was a little bit slow maybe in parts, but overall I just kind of flew through this and I really enjoyed it. In the end, I gave this 4.25 stars. And the final book that I managed to complete in the first half of December was The Heiress of Winter by Sarah E. Ladd. This is another book that I actually listened to on audio. I didn't know what to listen to next and I was just kind of having a look through the app, and this is the first book in a series and another book in the series caught my eye and I looked up the series and found the first one and got that out. This is a historical romance kind of story that... This is a historical romance, basically. I didn't realize when requesting it that it was actually a Christian romance story. Like, it's a Christian romance series. And not that that necessarily bothers me. I myself do not identify as Christian. I'm not particularly religious, but it doesn't bother me. However, I did find the story a little bit preachy in parts, and that is obviously just down to the fact that I personally am not religious, so I really picked up on all the times that they were just talking about religious things. I was just like, okay, like, let's move on. So it was alright. I did enjoy it. I did also find it like a touch insta-lovey, but I feel like these types of historical romance stories always have a touch of that kind of insta-love factor. It was enjoyable, and I will probably continue on with the rest of the series. In fact, I do have the second book out on audio at the moment. And I will read the rest of the trilogy because it was enjoyable. Not my favorite historical romance or romance in general, but it was enjoyable. In the end, I gave it 2.75 stars. So those are the 4 books that I managed to complete in the first half of December. As I said, it has not been my greatest reading month so far. I have kind of got a bit more into a reading mode in just like the past 1 or 2 days, and as I said in my December TBR, I am off work from the 23rd of December, 3 days to go, you guys, and I'm not back at work until the 3rd, so I have a solid 10 days off, 7 of which are in December, and Christmas and stuff is happening in there, but I do anticipate that I'll probably be able to get some pretty solid reading done in those few days, or at least I hope I will. So hopefully I'll have plenty more books to talk to you guys about in my December wrap up, but stay tuned for that. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below about how your December reading month is going. Have things slow down for you just with all the busyness going on with different functions and things like that always come up in the month of December? I'd love to chat with you guys down below. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. That's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys.